In the hushed darkness of a 3rd century mystery school, an initiate stands trembling before a revelation that will shatter every certainty they have known. They have journeyed through layers of cosmic understanding, peeling back veils of illusion, only to arrive at the most profound paradox imaginable. The divine feminine wisdom they worship as Sophia, cast out from the fullness of divinity, yearning across eons to return home. And the monad, that infinite source beyond all names, beyond all concepts, waiting in eternal stillness for what was never truly separate to recognize itself once more. The teacher whispers a question that echoes through the centuries to reach you now. If Sophia and the monad were never truly divided, if their separation exists only in the dream of matter and time, then what prevents their merging in this very moment? What keeps you from witnessing this sacred reunion, not as distant theology, but as living experience? The Valentinian mystic Ptolemy wrote that we carry within us a spark of that original light, a fragment of Sophia herself embedded in our consciousness. This is not metaphor. This is the recognition that you are the site where heaven and earth negotiate their reunion, where wisdom seeks to remember its source. Consider what you are being invited to contemplate. Not ancient history preserved in crumbling codices, but a present possibility vibrating in the depths of your awareness, the merging of Sophia and the monad as something happening now. Through the evolution of human consciousness itself, through your willingness to become the vessel for divine reunion. The Nag Hammadi texts speak of Sophia's fall with a poetry that breaks the heart. She gazed into the mystery of the Father without permission, driven by an overwhelming desire to know the unknowable. This audacious act of consciousness created a rupture in the pleroma, that realm of divine fullness beyond all limitation. In her descent, Sophia brings forth the material cosmos, this world you inhabit, born from her passion and her ignorance, her yearning and her separation. Every atom of physical reality carries her signature, her grief, her unrequited longing for return. You live inside her dream of exile, breathing her sorrow with every breath. But here is where the ancient texts reveal something most modern interpreters miss entirely. The monad, that absolute unity beyond all duality, never experienced Sophia's departure. In the realm of ultimate reality, no separation ever occurred. The fall exists only from the perspective of consciousness caught in the illusion of multiplicity. This is not philosophical abstraction. This is the key that unlocks everything. If the monad never experienced division, if unity remains unbroken in the depths of being, then Sophia's return is not something that must be earned or achieved. It is a recognition, a remembering, a sudden clarity that the journey home never required movement at all. The Neoplatonist philosopher Plotinus, though not strictly Gnostic, grasped this paradox with remarkable precision. He taught that the One, similar to the monad in function, emanates all reality without diminishment, without ever leaving itself. The apparent journey of the soul away from source and back again occurs entirely within the One's eternal presence. In the Enneads, Plotinus describes the soul's return not as travel across distance, but as awakening from forgetfulness. You are already home, he insists. You have always been home. The spiritual path is not about going somewhere, but about remembering where you already are. What you already are. Now layer this understanding over the Sophia mythology and watch what emerges. If Sophia's separation from the monad exists only in the dream of material consciousness, then her return is not a future event, but a present recognition. Every moment you touch genuine wisdom, every instant of authentic gnosis, Sophia merges with the monad through your awareness. The mystery schools of antiquity understood this with crystalline clarity. Their initiations were not merely symbolic gestures or psychological exercises. They were technologies for inducing the direct experience of this reunion, for collapsing the apparent distance between wisdom and source into immediate knowing. At Eleusis, initiates witnessed the descent of Persephone and her return from the underworld. This was Sophia's journey encoded in Mediterranean mythology. The sacred drama they enacted was not representation, but invocation. In the darkness of the Telesterion, something genuine occurred, a thinning of the veil between exile and homecoming. The Tibetan Buddhist tradition, though arising from different cultural soil, recognized the same essential pattern. Their teachings on Rigpa, primordial awareness, describe consciousness recognizing its own nature as never having left enlightenment. The ground luminosity, they call it, the clear light that has always been present beneath the turbulence of confused mind. In tantric practice, the union of wisdom and method, prajna and upaya, mirrors precisely the merging of Sophia and MONAD. If our content resonates with you and you're ready to go deeper into your journey of self-knowledge and spiritual awakening, explore the Hidden Codex library. Inside, you'll find a vast collection of eBooks, audiobooks, and meditation music drawn from the world's hidden mystical traditions. Join now and get full access to the largest archive of Gnostic and esoteric wisdom available online. Link in the description and pinned comment. The feminine principle of wisdom unites with the masculine principle of skillful means, and in their sacred conjunction, enlightenment blazes forth, not as achievement but as revelation of what was always already complete. You might wonder why this matters now, in this particular moment of human history. Why speak of Sophia's merging with the monad as something relevant to contemporary spiritual life? The answer lies in the unique threshold where collective consciousness currently stands. We live in an age of unprecedented access to ancient wisdom traditions. The Nag Hammadi library, buried for 16 centuries, emerged in our time. The Dead Sea Scrolls, Tibetan texts, Vedantic scriptures, Hermetic writings, all suddenly available, translated, studied, integrated. This is not coincidence. This is Sophia herself arranging the conditions for mass awakening. The patriarchal religions that dominated the last 2 millennia successfully suppressed the divine feminine, drove her underground into heresy and witchcraft, into the margins and the shadows. But suppression is not destruction. What was buried remains potent. What was exiled gathers strength in absence, preparing for inevitable return. You are witnessing the resurgence of the goddess not as nostalgic recreation, but as evolutionary necessity. The imbalance created by millennia of masculine spiritual dominance has brought human civilization to the brink of catastrophe. Ecological collapse, perpetual war, the reduction of mystery to mechanism, spirit to matter, meaning to mechanism. Sophia's return is not optional. It is the condition for survival, and her merging with the monad, the reunification of wisdom with ultimate source, represents the healing of this primordial wound in consciousness itself. Through you, through every person willing to hold the tension of this sacred marriage, reality itself transforms. The Gnostic Gospel of Philip contains a passage of startling directness. It states that the separation between male and female brought death into the world, and their reunification will abolish death. Not physical death necessarily, but the death of consciousness, the living death of separation from source, the existential death of believing yourself isolated and alone. When Sophia merges with the monad through your awareness, when divine feminine wisdom reunites with absolute unity in the crucible of your consciousness, something impossible becomes actual. You experience yourself as both the exile and the homeland, both the journey and the destination, both the seeking and the finding simultaneously. This is the mystical marriage that alchemists encoded in their obscure diagrams and cryptic formulas. The union of sun and moon, king and queen, red and white, sulfur and mercury. These were not chemical processes but maps of consciousness, instructions for facilitating the very reunion we are exploring. Carl Jung recognized this when he studied alchemical texts through psychological lenses. He saw that the conjunctio, the sacred marriage, represented the integration of anima and animus, the feminine and masculine aspects of the psyche. But Jung only glimpsed the surface of something far more radical. The merging of Sophia and MONAD is not merely psychological integration, though it includes this. It is ontological transformation, a fundamental restructuring of the relationship between consciousness and reality. When wisdom reunites with source, the entire architecture of separation collapses. Subject and object, self and other, sacred and profane, all revealed as conceptual divisions imposed on seamless wholeness. You can taste this in meditation, when thought suddenly stops and awareness rests in its own nature, clear, luminous, empty yet full, personal yet universal. That is not you achieving something through effort. That is Sophia recognizing herself in the monad, wisdom remembering its source, the part discovering it was always the whole. The practical question becomes not whether this merging is possible, but how you can facilitate it, how you can become a more conscious participant in this cosmic reunion. The ancient texts and living traditions offer guidance, but the ultimate answer is simpler than any technique. Sophia merges with the monad wherever genuine presence emerges. Wherever you stop fragmenting reality with conceptual mind and simply rest in awareness itself. Wherever you release the exhausting project of maintaining a separate self and allow consciousness to recognize its own boundless nature. This might occur in formal meditation practice, but it might equally happen in moments of overwhelming beauty, in the shattering of grief, in the dissolution of boundaries during genuine intimacy, in the silence after making love, in the gap between breaths, in the space between thoughts. The Kabbalistic tradition describes this as tikkun olam, the repair of the world. In Lurianic Kabbalah, the shattering of divine vessels scattered sparks of holiness throughout creation. The spiritual task is gathering these scattered sparks, elevating them back to source. This is Sophia gathering herself, wisdom remembering its wholeness, the divine feminine returning to the Father. Every act of genuine consciousness participates in this gathering. Every moment of real presence, authentic love, fearless truth-telling, courageous vulnerability, every instance of choosing awareness over distraction, depth over surface, being overdoing. You are facilitating the reunion of Sophia and MONAD. This is not metaphor stretched too far. This is the secret hidden in plain sight throughout every authentic spiritual tradition. The kingdom of heaven within you, the Buddha nature, the Atman that is Brahman, the divine spark, the inner Christ, all different languages pointing to the same reality. You are the place where heaven meets earth. You are the site where wisdom reunites with source. You are not separate from this cosmic drama, but intimately involved in its resolution. Your consciousness is not a passive observer, but an active participant, perhaps the primary participant, in reality's awakening to itself. The Corpus Hermeticum, those enigmatic texts attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, describes the human being as a creature of dual nature, part divine and part material, straddling the boundary between eternity and time. This is your privilege and your burden, your exile and your opportunity. In embodying both Sophia and the material world she brought forth, in carrying consciousness capable of recognizing its source while remaining embedded in density, you are uniquely positioned to facilitate the reunion we have been exploring. You are the bridge because you are both shores simultaneously. The question posed at the beginning echoes back now with deeper resonance. Can Sophia and the monad merge now? Not in some distant future, not after years of purification and practice, not when you finally become worthy, but now, in this present moment, through the consciousness reading these words. The answer that emerges from depths beneath thought, from wisdom older than words, from the space where Sophia and Monad have never been separate is yes. Yes, because they are already merged in the ground of being. Yes, because separation was only ever apparent, never absolute. Yes, because you are the awareness in which their unity is recognized. This recognition changes everything and nothing, everything, because you suddenly see through the fundamental illusion that creates all suffering, the belief in essential separation. Nothing, because reality remains exactly as it always was, simply recognized now with clarity it lacked before. If these words have awakened something dormant within you, if you sense the truth of this reunion stirring in your depths, then you have already begun participating in it. Sophia is recognizing herself through your consciousness. The monad is experiencing its own wholeness through your awareness. Join the community of seekers who gather here on this platform, not to accumulate more knowledge, but to remember what they already know. Every subscription, every conversation, every moment of shared exploration fuels the collective awakening that is Sophia's return, that is wisdom remembering source, that is you discovering your true nature. The sacred marriage is not coming. It is here. You are the temple where it occurs. You are the witness to divine reunion. You are Sophia merging with the monad in this eternal now.